Let Century Management Solutions get you to your next medical appointment. They specialize in non-emergency medical transportation, connecting patients to care, safety, reliability, and on time. Their advanced technology platform seamlessly coordinates patients, healthcare providers, insurers, and transportation partners all in one powerful network. With over 200 trusted transportation providers, they deliver scalable solutions backed by real-time tracking and complete transparency. Go to SENTRYMS.com.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right. If it's Monday, it's Guns and Roses. Again, I could go off on how this band should have been one of the greats of all time, up there with Led Zeppelin, The Doors, Creedence, and just, you know, the whole drug thing, unfortunately, after about 2 albums, took them out completely, and that's that. But anyway, Axl Rose, listen to this voice. There it is. Not quite the same as it used to be, but anyway, before we go off on a tangent, as we do on this show, John Sterling, unfortunately, has passed away. The great Yankees announcer. I go back and forth on Sterling as far as his, I don't know, what can I say? Is he Mel Allen? No. Is he Rizzuto? No. But Yankee fans absolutely loved him. And he was a true Yankee fan, and you got to be a homer, I guess, when you call the Yankees on radio. So when you look back on Sterling, I think so many fans are going to be completely and totally devastated that, you know, John's not around anymore. He retired, I think, a year or two ago. As far as it's so hard. I mean, you think about this job. When you play, what do they play in the Major League Baseball? 161 games?
162.
I mean, 62. Thank you, Kevin. 162, even number. You got to travel all around the country. And from late March until late September, you're on the road half the time, and then otherwise trying to get home from the Bronx, Yankee Stadium, half the time at 10, 11 o'clock at night. So, you know, you're in your 70s, you're still doing this. It really is incredible. So between Vince Scully, who I think is the best of all time, and Jack Buck, who was incredible. That's Joe Buck's father. And we'll see you tomorrow night. I mean, just great calls. But Sterling, you know, we're always going to remember, let's put it this way. Michael Kay, with this whole see ya call on home runs, I don't think people are going to be quoting that 20 years from now. I find it to be cheesy and contrived. I think Sterling with Yankees win. The Yankees win. I think that's something that people 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, their kids will be quoting. And let's play it, shall we? This is after the last Yankees World Series, which really is amazing when you think about it. 17 years since the Yankees have won a World Series. Now think about that gap, right? The Yankees won World Series, 77, 78, and then didn't win another one until 96. Wow, that's a big gap. That's, well, let's see, 78, that's 18 years, right? We're almost at that point between the gaps as far as the Yankees winning a World Series. And we're in an era now where wild cards get you in to the playoffs, and then you could eventually win a World Series. Way back when, you know, I was a younger kid, you had to win your division or else you didn't get in. There were no wild cards and playing games and all this stuff. It's different now. So the fact the Yankees haven't won one in 17 years, but this is the 2009 call. Yankees beat the Phillies in 6. Yankee Stadium, the new one, just opened that year. Here's the call. Cut number 7, go.
Rivera is set. And here's the payoff. Swung on and grounded to second. Cano fields, throws to first, in time. Ball game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right, that's great. That's awesome. That's Sterling, in essence. There are some other times, though, and I think John would appreciate this. I had a couple of conversations with him over the years, and He is the most self-deprecating person you could meet. In other words, when you're on the air, like we just talked about, 162 games a year, over many, many years, thousands of calls, you're going to mess one up once in a while. That's fine. I mess up on this show all the time. Believe me, my producers can tell you that. Now, all of that said, here's one. It's great. Sterling basically is calling a home run by Aaron Judge. The problem is that the Yes Network was playing a replay at the time, and he thought it was live. So this is how this went. But again, it's awesome. Cut number 9. Cut number 9, go.
9 feet.
Now here's Judge. Man, the breaking ball is hit in the air to deep left. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. Unfortunately, that was a replay of the home run, but it was a good replay.
It was a good replay. See, that's great. Just own it. It's fine. We make mistakes all the time in this business, believe me. And then here is John Sterling. Now, again, I was at the Delta Suite a couple of days ago for the Savannah Bananas versus not New York Yankees, but Savannah Bananas versus the Party Animals, at Yankee Stadium. And a lot of foul balls come back in the direction of where the broadcast booth is or just behind the plate in general. There were a good 3 balls that we could have got as a result of being in that area. Here is Sterling literally getting hit by a foul ball. He's bruised. He's hurt. He recovers and then continues the call because the show must go on. This is cut number 8. Go.
Now the 3-2 swung on. A pop foul back here.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far. And Holmes ready to deal. A ground ball to third. Donaldson squares, throws to first in time. Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
And if you look at the video of that, he's literally still holding onto his eye because he got hit literally right in the eye by a foul ball. Didn't say, I can't do this anymore. Moved on, called the game, called the Yankees win. John Sterling, you will be missed, absolutely. I mean, Yankee fans will, you look back on him and say, you know what, this guy loved the Yankees, called a great game, and to do that for as many years as he did. I remember Sterling going all the way back, I guess, on radio for, we're talking like 35, 40 years. That's just incredible. So a New York icon, no question about it. Anyway, let's move on to the more serious stuff. And here is Hakeem Jeffries. If we want to talk about New York icons, certainly Hakeem is not, because this guy, Brooklyn, going to be probably the House Speaker after Democrats take back the House, outside of some miracle where they don't. Remember, it's only 4 seats that Democrats have to win back. And historically, the party in power, in this case, Republicans, very easily could lose 18, 20, 25 seats during the midterm elections because that's the precedent. That's just the way this goes. The average is 18 seats goes back to the party in power, or the party out of power, excuse me, in these midterm elections. So that probably will happen. Hakeem Jeffries will be the House Speaker. And instead of saying, okay, this is what we're going to do as far as making the country better or making your lives better, this is the number one priority for Democrats when they take back power. This is cut number 11. Cut number 11. Go.
In the new Congress, we're going to have to do something about this Supreme Court. And let me be very clear. Everything is on the table. Everything to deal with this corrupt MAGA majority that is issuing political opinions that are designed to bolster the prospects of the Republican Party. And we will not allow them to succeed.
Heard my dogs there in the background.
Yeah, you hear that? Besides the dogs? In other words,
When you think of garbage, think of Hakeem.
Thank you for that, Kevin. Appreciate that. I was going to call for that. So, all right, we're reading each other's minds at this point. We'll impeach Supreme Court judges because they are extreme. They're MAGA. No, maybe they follow the Constitution. You ever think about that? But that's the way it's going to go. Democrats, I can guarantee you, we'll expand the Supreme Court to 15 judges. It's currently 9 to make sure it's a 9-6 majority, all liberal. So they get the rulings that they want. When they don't, they talk about how it's radical and how it's this and that. No, this is the way it's always been. 9 judges. If you are a sitting president, you get to nominate a justice. It's that simple. And yet, here we have a situation where Democrats will expand the Supreme Court, abolish the Electoral College, add 2 states, D.C. and Puerto Rico, to make sure that we have 4 more Democrat senators. I mean, this is going to be radical stuff unless Republicans turn out and resist this stuff. Now, probably the House will go back to the Democrats, but in the end, the Senate, I can't see that switching exactly, given that they have a 3-majority seat right now. Can I see Democrats taking back 4 seats? Maybe, maybe not. But in places like Maine, well, you have a guy named Graham Plattner, a guy who had a Nazi symbol on his chest, a guy who said that women should learn not to be raped and be more, accommodating. That's a big problem. Also has said that he is a communist, also praised Hamas after they killed several Israeli soldiers last year. Here is Graham Plattner, Maine, Democrat, going up against Susan Collins in Maine for that Senate seat. Here's Brit Hume on Fox News talking about why this person is a very dangerous candidate, and the fact that Democrats are embracing this person as their new mascot is a whole bowl of wrong. It's cut number 17. Go.
The public reaction is likely to be favorable, and I think these Democrats are kind of trapped because they exist in a party whose membership overwhelmingly despises Donald Trump. It's been called Trump derangement syndrome, and there's something to that. And the result is that these Democrats, with rare exceptions, John Fetterman today, of course, was the one we just heard from, are opposed to this because they feel they must be, that they feel their job in life is to resist and oppose Donald Trump in every way, almost no matter what he does. So I think that accounts for the political reaction on the Democratic side here. Now, over time, those who are critical may feel vindicated if things start to go Bailey, but if they don't, they're going to be stuck with this. They're going to be the people that it will be argued didn't want to take this evil Iranian regime down. If the Iranian regime goes down and things turn out well in Iran, that will be a burden around their necks.
Precisely. If things go well in Iran and gas prices end up going back down to where they were, around $2 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon, the economy does well. It is doing well outside of gas prices. Democrats, what are they running on besides Trump is bad? They've tried this. Kamala Harris tried it. Hillary Clinton tried it. They both lost. Big time. In the end, Trump is doing things. You could agree or disagree with them, but boy, talk about a person of action. That is Donald Trump at this point. When we talk about the border, when we talk about Iran, we talk about the economy, we talk about tax cuts. This is the president that if you want to run against his record, all right, roll the dice and take your chances and say that, ICE is bad. And I guess what else? We're here to save democracy. Yeah, that's just not enough. Meanwhile, SNL, which could very easily right now do a whole skit on Graham Plattner, right? The guy with the Nazi tattoo and all the things I just talked about. No, instead, here they are to mock Kash Patel. And this is kind of racist, right? Because they talk about how Kash is, of Indian descent, came from India originally, at least his relatives did. This is the road they went down. And again, this is a whole bowl of wrong. Cut number 20, go.
You guys should not be reporting the lies and the gossip. You should be reporting on the historic nature of my appointment. I'm a trailblazer. I'm the first Indian person to suck at their job. Everyone says Indian people are smart, hardworking, incredibly intelligent. I've proved without a shadow of a doubt that we can be just as incapable and incompetent as the whites.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's hilarious. I feel like I'm watching Jimmy Kimmel all over again. Does Kash Patel suck at his job? That part I am kind of curious on, because we have a murder rate right now in this country that is at a 126-year low. 7 out of 10 people on the FBI's most wanted list have been arrested since Kash Patel became FBI director. The border is essentially closed. We don't have anybody coming into this country as a result of that closure. So this whole thing about Kash Patel being bad at his job, really? Because the numbers say something much different. All right, let's play some Guns N' Roses there, Mr. Kevin. There he is. Axel. Where do we go now? Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, take me down to the Paradise City, where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. We're going back to 1988 on this one, folks. The great Guns N' Roses. And then if you want to really, really, really feel old, that's nearly 40 years ago. So there's that. Anyway, I'm totally depressed. But I'm going to cheer myself up right now because we have Kamala Harris back on the, I guess, campaign trail. Because I guess she's running for president. Oh, if you're J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, you're like, please, yes. Make her the nominee again. Honestly, is there a worse candidate in U.S. presidential history? Honestly, I can't think of one. I mean, the caucus, you know, the whole thing with the tank, and he tried to look tough by getting in a tank to be like, you know, the alpha guy. All right, that didn't go well. I agree. John Kerry, you know, the windsurfer, profoundly horrible as a candidate. Al Gore, boring. Nothing comes close to Kamala Harris.
I made a decision that I wasn't going to get played. And
chess, not checkers. God.
Tackle.
chess, not checkers. Yeah, three-dimensional chess.
Three-dimensional chess? Well, usually when you play 3D chess, you kind of win. Guns N' Roses takes us home here as we at the halfway point of Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
From Terminator 2, best movie sequel of all time. You could yell at me about Godfather 2, Empire Strikes Back, Dark Knight. No. It's easily Terminator 2. And the soundtrack has a lot to do with that. Just watched this a couple of nights ago with my kid. And again, this is James Cameron, who did Titanic and a bunch of great films, Avatar, whatever you want to call it. But in the end, I mean, Terminator 2, as far as sequels, given Terminator 1 didn't have a lot of humor, and the fact that you had Cameron be able to turn Terminator 2 into a great action thriller sci-fi film, but the humor in it is just incredible, and understood how to do comedy, or at least the one-liners. And in the end, again, if you've never seen this before, watch Terminator 1 and then 2, and you'll be like, wow, Joe, thank you for that, because those are, one was dark and pretty intense. 2 was just awesome on every level. And Guns N' Roses, part of that soundtrack. Anyway, before I go off on a tangent, as we do on this show, let's talk about the greatest of all time in terms of basketball players. NBA playoffs are going on right now. Admittedly, I am watching. A lot of games going, or a lot of series going to Game 6, Game 7. The Knicks. I was away. I was in Springfield, Illinois for a speech, and my phone starts blowing up during the speech. And so all my friends, we have these threads. I'm sure you guys do too. I have certain friends that talk about certain things, and therefore I have certain, what's called a thread on text. And I have one group of friends, right? Their names are Bopper, Spo, and Bengal. All right, I won't get into the why behind all of that. But all we do is talk about sports or more mocking things in general, right? It's a great thread. It's been going on for many, many years. And, in a world where the 4 of us live in 4 very different places, this is a great way to talk with your friends without actually getting together. We get together every year for the Super Bowl. But otherwise, we see each other maybe once a year, but the texts are constant. And at one point, I see a text that the Knicks were up 72-22 over the Hawks in Atlanta on the road. They're 50 points in a Game 6 of a playoff series, which is just unthinkable when you think about the fact that Atlanta was up 2-1 in this series, right? It's not like they're a bad team getting blown out by a great team. They were at one point looking like the team that was going to win the series, and now they're down 50 points at home. This is insane. Anyway, I've gone off on another tangent. I'm sorry. But Stephen A. Smith recently did a podcast where he was asked who is better, LeBron or Michael Jordan. And I'll tell you this. Jordan, according to my kids, is the greatest player of all time. I have basically hypnotized them like your average North Korean kid. But I don't have to sell propaganda. I know what I know. And I know that Michael Jordan went to 6 finals and won 6 times. I know that during those 6 finals, he never had to go to a Game 7 once. He beat everybody from Magic Johnson and the Lakers, Clyde Drexler, Portland Trail Blazers, Charles Barkley, Phoenix Suns, the Glove, as far as Seattle and Sean Kemp, right? And obviously the Jazz, Karl Malone, John Stockton, and never had to go to a Game 7. I find that amazing. 9-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Wow. So not just like, hey, the guy could score, hit some jump shots. No. He played both ends. Anyway, here's Stephen A. making this argument, I guess, just the way I did. But again, for the last time, and I know this isn't WFAN. I don't care. Michael Jordan is the greatest athlete we have ever seen on this planet. Bigger than Muhammad Ali, bigger than Babe Ruth, bigger than, name a sport, I don't care. We were so blessed to have this guy. Stephen A. breaks this down in only a way that Stephen A. can. Cut number 16, go.
LeBron James, I don't call him the GOAT. Savant, basketball savant.
But not the best player of all time.
No, Michael Jordan. There's nothing to discuss. When people are booing, all you showing is your age and your ignorance. You don't know no better. There's no way that you could watch Michael Jordan and LeBron James and think that Michael Jordan is not the GOAT. All right, so they asked, so let me break it down for you. Michael Jordan has 10 scoring titles. Michael Jordan was a 9-time All-NBA defensive team member. Michael Jordan won 6 titles, 6 NBA Finals MVPs, never once allowed a game to get to a championship series to get to a Game 7. Never once. That was in his 13 years in Chicago. We ain't counting the 2 years with the Wizards. He was trying to become an owner, and they needed him to come out of retirement to have an ownership stake. That's what they needed. We're talking about his 13 years in Chicago. That's what he's done. By the way, played 82 games 7 or 8 times. All 82 games. By the way, it was significantly more physical back then. You see, somebody like you would have got arrested. You understand? You can't touch him. Can't touch him today. Back then, you could mug him. You understand? They created rules to stop him. You understand? Watch The Last Dance. When they were talking about Michael Jordan and The Last Dance, and John Sally said one of the biggest components of the Jordan rules was attack him before he gets airborne, because you know he wasn't human, right? That's what he said.
Yep. The Jordan rules, it was called. And the Pistons beat him up for many, many years before he finally won a championship. And the funny thing is that in 1991, Jordan and the Bulls, after they got Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, great players, swept the Pistons. Then Isaiah Thomas, because of the piece of, can't say it on the air, POS that he is, took his team off the floor and didn't even shake hands. You know, and then the Knicks hired him to be the GM, so great job. But either way, yep, Stephen A. is exactly right about Michael Jordan, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. It's not even a conversation. And if you think that LeBron James is the greatest of all time, then you didn't watch Michael Jordan. You weren't around for that. All the game-winning shots that he hit, especially in the finals. Name me that moment that you remember from LeBron James being great in the finals, outside of blocking. I guess it was Steph Curry in 2016. Right. It was a defensive play. Great. Okay. Name me the shot that you remember that LeBron James hit that says he's the greatest of all time, because it does not exist. All right. I've turned this into a sports show. Sorry about that. Let's go to Tucker Carlson, shall we? I don't know what to say. I really don't. I was on Tucker's show for many, many years. Probably his most booked guest on Fox News. Every week I was on, bar none. And I never really met Tucker. Tucker was always in Maine or Washington, Florida. He had different residences. So we were in what's called a split screen. So I was in my home studio, or I was in New York. He was somewhere else. So we never really had like conversations off the air kind of thing. But again, I'm going to play this. I played it on Sunday in case you weren't listening. This is Tucker talking about how he never said something until literally the clip is played back to him, and then he still denies that he ever said it.
What I was saying, which is you cannot mock other people's gods and put yourself in their place, period. That is a deal killer for me. That's worse than the war with Iran, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I ask because, you know, you've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors.
Whoops.
Mocking the God of gods and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well, who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is. If there's just one, I actually tried to understand it.
All right, Kev, we're good. Those words never left my lips. He literally was playing a clip of him saying it and still denies it. That's a psychopath. And you could scream and yell at your radio right now. Oh, Joe, you're a rhino. Oh, you're anti-whatever. No, I'm for truth, actually. And I don't understand how Tucker Carlson could say that he didn't call Donald Trump the Antichrist, literally be played back that clip, and then say he didn't say it. Oh, it keeps going. Believe you me. Here is Tucker going off on the FBI investigation to Charlie Kirk's murder, sounding just like the equally crazy Candace Owens. Cut number 4, go.
Do you still have a relationship with Turning Point USA?
Well, I have always loved Erica Kirk. I met her when she was dating Charlie and thought so much of her. I know a lot of people at Turning Point. I was the headliner for a bunch of different Turning Point events. I haven't been asked to do it this year. Don't know if I will be. Never said a word against Turning Point. I think it's been a really... Well, I was their headliner for a bunch of years, so obviously I supported it. I would hate to see it hijacked by its donors to become an oracle of neoconservatism. I think it'd be pretty hard to do because its members are not for that. Young people are not for that. People of draft age are especially not for that.
I mean, when was the last time you spoke to Erica Kirk?
A couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
By text. So my concern, and this is not about Erica Kirk or Andrew Colvett or any of those people with whom I've never had a crossword and hope never to have a crossword. But my concern more broadly is about the investigation into Charlie's murder, which was short-circuited by the FBI. And I'd like to know why. And I don't care to be screamed at for asking that question. It's a legitimate question, and we know that. Well, I know that for a bunch of reasons. But
I'll scream. I have no problem with that, Tucker. Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson was a trans-loving, furry-loving kid, 21 years old, who shot Charlie Kirk in the neck and executed him on video at Utah Valley University on September 10th. There is video of him all over the place being on campus when Candace Owens said that he was never on that campus. And then when confronted with video, with evidence that he was there, Candace Owens says, actually there were Tyler Robinson doubles, twins that were sent out there to throw off the scent or something. This is insane stuff. And the fact that Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens are saying that, the FBI, they thwarted this investigation. There is no doubt here what happened. And yet we have these maniacs saying that. So I talk about how the left is crazy. Well, there's some of the right that are crazy also. And it starts with Tucker Carlson. Here he is, before we go to break, cut number 5, him saying that Hamas is really a political organization. Then when confronted with evidence that, you call them a political organization, aren't they a terror organization? No, I never said that until he actually said it. Again, you are being played. This person is gaslighting you. Tucker Carlson, cut number 5, go.
Hamas is group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists, which they also claim constantly, which I don't know if that's true, by the way. It seems more like a political organization.
Raised some eyebrows this week when you said that Hamas is more like a political organization than a terror group. That was on the new episode of your show when you were talking.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. Again, this isn't hard. It's played back to you and you still deny it. I don't know. I don't know what happened to this person. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha. Welcome to the jungle.
We got fun and games. We have everything you want. I love doing the stiff white guy doing Guns N' Roses. Nothing better than that in the world. Anyway, let's do cut number 12 here, shall we? Because, again, there's a guy named Abdul El-Sayed running for not Congress, but Senate in Michigan. All right, pretty big deal. And this guy keeps arguing that, well, there really isn't an illegal immigration problem because, well, Michigan is nowhere near the U.S. southern border, and Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, and California. There's a big problem with this argument that I'll talk about on the other side. Cut number 12, go.
They want to tell us that ICE is about immigration. They want to tell us that ICE is about the southern border. Now, I went to Minneapolis at the height of Project Metro Surge, and you know how cold it was there? -2 degrees, and I thought to myself, damn, this is not the southern border. I'm a public school educated kid, I learned maps, and I was like, we're pretty damn far away from the southern border. Why are they in Minneapolis?
I can't even begin to express my utter disbelief that this person could be a senator in the United States when he says that I studied maps. I'm publicly educated. I'm a smart guy, and not understanding that the Auto Penn administration, while people crossed over the U.S. southern border, then put them on planes and sent them all over the country, including to especially Minneapolis, where you have a Somali population, a Muslim population that is completely and totally out of control in terms of fraud. That's been proven. And yet this guy is like, well, because Minnesota and Michigan are nowhere near the southern border, therefore, well, that couldn't possibly mean that illegals are in those states, except they are. Go to Dearborn, Michigan sometime. because I'm pretty sure that the population there is far more illegal immigrants than actual people that are living in the country legally. And yet this guy is just playing on the fact that Democrat voters are stupid, that they don't read the news, that they don't educate themselves. And many of them are. That's true. They're in their phones. They're on social media. They're watching TikTok kitten videos and not paying attention to what's going on. That's what Democrats bank on. Stupid people voting for stupid people. And that is Abdul El-Sayed. Meanwhile, here is Jake Tapper, the biggest phony by far. Trust me, I've met him, right? I've talked to him. There is no one that loves the celebrity aspect of being in journalism more than Jake Tapper. He has been on Colbert and Kimmel. Listen to this number. He has been a guest on there 38 times in the last 4 years. 38 times. Not Tom Hanks, not Julia Roberts, not Seth Rogen, not Chris Rock, not Sebastian Maniscalco, people that are actually entertaining or have talent. No, it's Jake Tapper. He's their number one guest. He loves being on these shows so he can pontificate about Trump and get cheap applause lines. Anyway, here is the aforementioned Jake Tapper talking about how Trump will not be president in 2025. This is a clip from 2018. And boy, once again, Jake completely and totally off on this one. Cut number, whatever, go.
Dignity, like President Trump, at the very least, is not going to be president from January 2025 on. He's going to go. There is a lot of these people, they're going to want to continue to have careers and lives. And we spend years, undermining your reputation, your dignity, the fact that you even care about the truth. I don't understand what the end game is for these people. Why? How can you call an investigation into a Russian attack on the United States a witch hunt and still think that people are going to take you seriously? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's weird, as you point out. It's odd.
It's great. Isn't that great? Oh, yeah. The Russia investigation was a witch hunt, according to Trump. And it turns out it was. Anyway, before we go, this is really the best thing ever of all time, as far as clips are concerned on this show. And I can't even get my head around the fact that this is something that Joe Rogan had to point out because it's so true. But Hillary Clinton apparently was the original election denier. That's true. After 2016. Trump could talk about all he wants about 2020 being stolen, and he has a very good argument around that. 81 million votes for Joe Biden, only 68 million for Barack Obama, when Biden barely campaigned, right? So how does he get 13 million more votes unless something nefarious may have happened? Anyway, here's Rogan being Rogan. Cut number 21, go.
Hillary Clinton didn't do multiple speeches where she said that the election was stolen. Yeah. He's not a legitimate president. Mm-hmm. Russia stole the election with no evidence.
Yeah.
But when he questions the election, it's a threat to democracy.
Right.
It's just so convenient. And we live in this bizarre news cycle where there's information is coming at you so fast, you kind of forget about what the thing you were mad about 2 days ago that could affect the rest of the country for decades.
Right.
And you're just on to the next.
Precisely. Anyway, we bring it home at Guns N' Roses. Who's the guitarist again, Kev? Slash, of course. Wonder what happened to him. You never saw his face. It was all like curls and facial hair and whatnot. But, Eddie Van Halen's the best guitarist of all time. But Slash doesn't get enough credit. No question about it. Anyway, this has been Concha at Night. We're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country. Until then, welcome to the jungle. And 2 words for you. Bye-bye.